You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox. That was Black Mountain, Florian Salsa Attack. And then we had Space Hog in the meantime. Beautiful.
Which sounded great.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that in ages, and it sounded so good.
Have you, was you hip to them?
Yeah, we actually crossed paths back in New York City in the 90s. I had a band called The Badge, and I think we played like CMJ with them. But man, they were great live, but that's just a great sounding song. It still sounds,
yeah.
You know, it was timeless then, it's timeless now.
Oh, yeah, I like it. He's got a great voice.
He does have a great voice.
And if anyone's wondering who that voice is, that's the voice of Jeff Slater. What's your description? How would you describe yourself? Writer, music writer?
Yeah, music writer and musician. You know,
you do autobiographies too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did the, last year I did the biography of Roy Orbison, the authorized biography. So his sons wanted to have, you know, they felt like his story hadn't been told correctly. Roy had started a book before he died, long before the rock star memoir was popular in the 80s. Never got it finished. Then his wife Barbara picked it up, and then she passed away. And they had all this research done, and nobody really to finish it.
Yeah.
So they brought me in, and I finished it up, and it was phenomenal because they were great. They knew a lot. They had a tremendous amount of research, but they had this vault, this archive of photographs. So it's a coffee table book, so it's illustrated. And I think that's one of the great things about it is it tells Roy's story, but it puts you in the time and place. Yeah. It's like Roy with Elvis, Roy with the Beatles, Roy with the Traveling Wilburys. It's a really great ride.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
I've got it. Oh, yeah. I like it. Like you say, I like looking at the pictures.
Yeah,
and the little bits with it.
I think that's, you know, for a book like that, that's as important. For them, it was important to get the story right. And if you want to know more, that's there. But if you just want to flip through it and kind of get a little piece of Roy in 5 minutes and listen to some music, it's there too.
There were some good pictures, some nice shirts he was wearing, like that kind of Elvis era.
Yeah, he had
flowery,
style.
The flowery shirts.
Yeah.
I actually took a couple of pictures and thinking of someone if they can kind of copy them. To make them for myself. Do you remember Elvis when he's doing the 1970 the comeback tour when he's going to play Caesar?
Of course.
You know when he shows up, pulling up at the gates, and he's got that.
Yeah.
I think it must have been the same tailor as Roy Orbison.
Well, they were tight. You know, Roy and Elvis were much closer than I think people realize, and I think they didn't see each other an awful lot, but when they were together, everybody said, you know, like, nobody else in the room was important. You know, it was like just those two. Because they go way back. They went back to Sun Records.
And he was from Memphis, wasn't he?
No. Roy was from West Texas.
But he went to Memphis.
He did. He met Johnny Cash, who connected him with Sam Phillips, and he ended up on Sun.
Yeah.
And then he relocated. And so, so he was in Hendersonville. And settled there, and they still own that land there, that, you know, right next to Johnny Cash's house. Yeah. So you know.
In Nashville.
Yeah.
I've been in that house.
Nashville. Oh.
I've been in that house. I stayed there for like 3 days by myself because I was friends with Barbara and Roy when he was alive.
Right.
I actually wrote a song with him.
I know. I wanted to talk about that. Tell us about that song, Steve. I'm going to interview you now.
Well, I don't know where it is. It's on a cassette somewhere.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I know they had a fire at their place.
Yeah, they did.
And I wrote it up in Malibu.
At the Malibu place, yeah.
Up in the hill. I was up there. That's where I wrote.
In the Purple Room, wasn't that?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
All I remember him was he was trying to sneak cigarettes, so Barbara didn't know he was smoking.
Right.
You know, but we got along good. I rode up there with my Harley, and he was a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Roy Orbison.
Yeah. One of a kind. I mean, really an unusual, you know, just a huge talent. And I mean, everybody knows the voice, but he was a great guitar player.
Yeah.
I mean, and also his songwriting was unlike anybody else's. And I think that's, you know, kind of forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's actually, and then he did that show. What was the place where Bobby Kennedy got shot?
Ambassador Hotel.
Yeah, where they all.
Yeah, the Black and White Night show.
Yeah, with Bruce.
Yep.
And
Elvis Costello.
I was
Jackson
there.
Brown. I was going to ask you.
I was there, And I had a broken arm, and my arm was in a sling. But there is actually a picture of me and him, of Roy, backstage when I had my long hair and that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not that they would have asked me to go out and play with them.
Who knows?
Who knows? I could have played slide on
with the cast.
So what's your latest thing? You write for Esquire?
All right, for Esquire, I'm starting. I'm going to have my first piece in the Wall Street Journal this weekend. So I'm going to start writing about rock icons like yourself for the Wall Street Journal now.
Did you see the the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I didn't, but I know all about it.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
Well, look, it's some years I love it, and I love what they do, and I love the class. This year it didn't speak to me. I mean, it was great to see Nina Simone get in. There were some people that got in, but I'm not a Bon Jovi fan. It's like that doesn't scream Rock Hall to me. That doesn't mean that they don't have a huge audience, and that isn't what the Rock Hall should be about. But it's not for me. So I was happy when when the Small Faces and Faces got in a couple of years ago. We talked about that, and Mac got in, and that was really exciting because I know those guys. But some years it speaks to you, and some years it doesn't.
Yeah, I enjoyed when they. When they all took a few minutes to speak, I enjoyed what Bon Jovi spoke. He's and their story. I mean, they worked their asses off. Them guys.
They did.
But there's always that kind of cheese factor to it.
Yeah.
But
he's a sweetheart of a guy.
I like him.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart of a guy, and I like him as a guy. But the music just doesn't move me. But it does move a lot of people.
It's not as deep as Springsteen, but it's the same neck of the woods. It's similar.
It is.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Bon Jovi. I actually bought that song "Runaway" when it came out.
Really?
Don't tell anybody.
Because who's listening?
but I liked it. I thought that was a great tune. I remember when that first came out.
Those were great pop tunes.
It was like rocking.
Yeah.
It wasn't slow, and it was.
Well, Richie's a great guitar player, and they were absolutely in their prime at that moment.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. At that point they were new and fresh, and now it's kind of, they did that same song several more times, to kind of get it just right, and that kind of wore it out for me a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
We can disagree.
Hey, listen.
That's why I'm here. I'm not here to agree with you.
Listen. It's all good. I was Dire Straits, which I like, is playing.
Yeah.
Plays with his fingers.
He's an amazing player.
But he didn't show up.
There's a lot of bad blood there, and I don't think
Is
anybody.
that what it was?
Yeah.
They didn't even say anything. When the tall guy at the end said, Mark, he didn't say no one said he's not coming or he's not here. I thought he was dead because no one mentioned anything.
Oh.
So I start Googling afterwards.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of bad blood, and there was a whole drama in the month or so leading up to it where he was going to come, then he wasn't going to come. I think they had a hard time getting anybody from Dire Straits to come. The couple of guys that did show up were only in the band for a minute.
Right.
So... and really, what is Dire Straits without Mark Knopfler being there? So
not a lot.
Not a lot.
I mean,
he's the sound.
The writer.
He's the writer. He's the sound. He's a guitarist. He was ultimately the producer. And yeah.
All them wannabes trying to get on the action. You got something to say, Shovel?
Yeah. I need to say this portion of Jonesy's Jukebox brought to you by Bergner Majovsky. And if you want to go to the 2018 Billboard Music Awards on May 20th in Las Vegas, text the national word duo to 64636. That's duo to 64636. And you can be on your way. We'll text you back to confirm. Data and messaging rates apply. And don't text and drive.
We're here with Jeff Slate.
I thought we were going to talk about Lonely Boy. I heard you talking to Royston. I thought we were going to...
Well, you did a whole thing, didn't you?
I did a whole thing.
And I met you in New York when I did that...
the Strand.
The Strand.
Yeah.
And that
was a great event.
I couldn't believe how many people showed up.
You had more than Johnny, so there you go.
See?
Yeah.
See what I do for myself? But that was very good. What's up?
Okay, go Duke.
Oh, we've got to visit the Duke. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Okay.
Jonesy's Jukebox, KLOS, with my guest, Jeff Slate, journalist. Take it away. KLOS, that's The Faces, Miss Judy's Farm. I'm here with music journalist Jeff Slate, and he's had a couple of solo albums out. They're so low you can't hear them.
Yeah, sorry, we had a headphone malfunction here.
Three albums I'm holding here.
You are holding 3 solo albums there.
And
that's the best one.
This one?
Though the one you'd probably like the least.
I wanna jam you. I wanna see what you got.
Okay.
I know you're a good writer. I want to see what you like on the other side of the fence.
Okay.
You know?
Now I'm nervous.
Please. So you live in New York.
I do.
What was we going to talk about before the Duke? And we said let's go to Duke and talk when we come back.
We're going to talk about Lonely Boy. We're going to talk about you.
Okay, go on then. What happened?
Lonely Boy?
You liked it. I remember you liked the book.
I really liked it. And I think the thing about it, there was an honesty to it that I thought is lacking in most of those books.
Yeah.
And I also thought the early part of your story, the pre-Pistols part, was the best part.
That's the best part.
Was the best part.
Yeah.
And I thought it gave a window into, we were talking during the Faces about, hustle, the hustle.
Yeah.
You were a hustler from day one.
Yeah.
And I think I was too. I think that, if you want to succeed and you want to make a career in something as sort of nebulous as the music industry or whatever it is we do, you've got to hustle all the time.
110%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not 50, not millennial 50%.
No.
Or 25%.
And you can't expect anything, even when you've got a little bit of success or you feel like you've reached kind of a place where you can rest easy, maybe. It's not true.
Yeah.
It's, you constantly have to prove yourself. And I think the thing that impressed me was I got a sense of your character from that early part of the book that I didn't get from meeting you in person or, just kind of knowing what I knew about you from the outside, as from the fan perspective.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked about it. It spoke to me in a kind of, that kind of visceral way that, you pick up a book, sometimes the person doesn't come through the pages to you.
Right.
And it did.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of those. I mean, I like those kind of books.
You have to read a load of autobiographies?
I like to.
Yeah.
I do. Well, I don't. I can do what I want. I mean, I write about what I choose to write about. I'm in a great position because I'm not on staff. I do it freelance.
Yeah.
So I chose to write about your book because I felt strongly about it.
Yeah.
Not all, and I tend not to write about books that I don't like, that don't speak to me. So if you see me not write about a book, that's probably
you don't like it.
That's probably because I don't like it. And I'll usually tell the publicist, I don't think you want me to write about this book because it's just it's just okay. And I so I get a lot and a lot of books on piled and piled in my apartment, and I'll go through them and look at a little bit of them. And if they speak to me, and they don't have to be somebody famous or that I love, a lot of times I'll get something from a book about somebody that I don't really know much about their career.
Yeah.
But if there's a window into who that person is or their hustle or what makes them unique or different or, sometimes they just have a great story to tell.
There's like some documentaries that I've seen of bands I didn't really care about, but I'm going to watch this.
Yeah.
And actually turned out liking them.
Yeah.
Well,
it's always great, too, when you get, like, the 15-second samples of their best songs throughout the documentary, and they're like, oh, maybe I did like them.
Yeah.
But I think, too, it's great, those documentaries and the books, too, reintroduce bands, particularly to younger kids, that they might have missed. There's books about, like, Mott the Hoople or Thin Lizzy or bands like that you and I love that a lot of people have forgotten.
Yeah.
And I think, there was a great doc about Mott the Hoople a couple of years ago, and I remember my son watching it and being like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah.
Because they were.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't have known who they were if it hadn't been for that documentary.
Yeah.
So,
have you seen the Brian Eno documentary?
I haven't, and I want to.
The man who built the world. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, we have it. I just haven't had a chance.
I watched it last week when I was in bed. It's fascinating. Some stuff about that I thought I knew like a lot about early Roxy music. and I had no idea. He was, he was, in the first couple of albums, and when Eno is in Roxy Music, he couldn't play,
Right.
but he kind of owned that he couldn't play.
Right.
And they had some footage of Emerson, Lake and Palmer where they're playing 1,000 million riffs.
Right.
Right. And it's kind of snobbery.
They were the anti, yeah.
And they probably hated him because he was just twiddling knobs, one finger.
One finger and twiddling knobs.
But he was amazing, and he was a real.
But he had a vision.
Yeah,
that was the thing that was different. I don't think, and God love Emerson, Lake and Palmer, they didn't have a vision so much as they were great players. But
it
Brian Ferry
was
and Brian Eno
about
had
musicianship.
It
with Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer and all them bands.
Yeah.
They really could play their instrument
and could go anywhere.
Yeah,
but I think working. And you and I could certainly talk about this. Working within your limitations makes you find what's great about you as a player.
Yeah.
If you can just play anything that's in your head, I don't know. Those guys, they just rattle it all. I see them do it. I know guys like that.
Yeah, but then they don't sound like anyone else. They just sound like everybody else.
They just sound like everybody else
Yeah.
who can't do what they're doing. There's also not the same hunger. The thing about Brian Ferry and Brian Eno, they were hungry guys.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what we were talking about 5 minutes ago.
Just what we were talking about.
Yeah, the hustle.
But he was a real coxman,
Yeah.
You would think it was Ferry who was that guy.
I didn't know this. I haven't seen it yet. Spoiler alert, he was the ladies' man.
The ladies' man, he was an animal, everyone was saying in the documentary.
I love it.
I could relate, I related to that
Yeah.
anything else. And Ferry was very shy and reserved and only...
I get that. Particularly back then. I can see that, and that was kind of his... He had that sort of ethereal thing as a front guy, too.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to tell you any more about it. You got to watch it yourself.
Ruin it for me and everybody out there.
Should we play some music when we come back?
Yeah.
See what you got on the old guitar and vocals?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, not to put you under any pressure. It's only radio. We're here with Jeff Slate, music journalist. And what are we going to play? David Bowie, Moon Age Daydream. You picked this. This is from David Live.
Yeah.
This is because Slick's on this.
Yeah,
right?
my buddy Earl Slick, shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did we mention that you're doing something with him? Or is that a secret?
I've got a band called Slick and Slate, and we've got...
No, you're doing a...
Yeah, but I'll come back. Slick and I'll come back when we're going to talk about that.
Guy. That guy, take it away. You are listening to Jonesy's Jukebox. That was David Bowie, Moon Age Daydream.
And Earl Slick on guitar there, baby.
And Earl Slick, your buddy.
Stories to tell.
Yeah. Jeff Slate is the man talking. He's a music journalist. And he's going to do a song right now. I'm going to play along with him. And then we're going to knock it on the head. So you fancy yourself as a musician as well, right? Singer?
That's how I started, and that's how I did everything until the music industry fell apart, and I had to find other ways to make money. So I started writing about the people that I loved.
You didn't want to be a realtor?
No.
Like 80% of all the other A&R guys and whatnot?
Yeah, but they're A&R guys.
Okay. Okay, here we go. What you got?
This is called Lucky Day Sunset.
Okay.
It's funny how the night never seems the same. It's funny how the days, they never change. It's funny how you made me feel like a Superman. It's funny how I thought it'd never end. Never worked real hard. I'll pay my dues. And I had a home to come home to. And I had you. So I carried all my sins, and I walked 1,000 miles,
lost my illusion, one by one, trying to keep the dream alive. Never worked real hard, never paid my dues, never had a home to come home to, and I had you. And it's a lucky day sunset, and I'm dreaming of coming home to you. It's a lucky day sunset, and I'm dreaming of coming home to you. Yes, I'm dreaming of coming home to you. Why is it so hard to touch tomorrow instead of yesterday? Dreaming dreams of people that are dead and gone, instead of what I really, instead of what I really, instead of what I really want to say. Take it, Jonesy. It's funny how the nights never seem the same. It's funny how the days, they always change. It's funny how you've made me feel like Superman. It's funny how I hope it never ends. So I work real hard, and I pay my dues, and I have a home to come home to, and I have you. It's a lucky day sunset, and I'm dreaming of coming home to you. It's a lucky day sunset, and I'm dreaming of coming home to you. Yes, 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 I'm dreaming of coming home to you. Nice resolve.
See what I do for you, Jeff? Spoil you run. What you got, Shovel?
This portion of Jonesy's Jukebox brought to you by Volvo.
That was Jeff Slate, music journalist.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
You got it. It's Jonesy's Jukebox. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.